Welcome back to Wikilert.
Today, the world of opera and operetta feels a little quieter, a little less vibrant with the passing of Harald Serafin, a man whose voice and spirit brought joy to stages across Europe for decades. The news broke this morning, September 15, 2025, that the beloved Austrian baritone and cultural icon died peacefully in the early hours in Vienna at the age of 93, surrounded by his family after a long and valiant fight against multiple forms of cancer that he'd battled in his later years. It's one of those losses that hits like a final curtain call, not sudden, but still achingly profound, leaving behind a legacy of laughter, song, and that infectious zest for life he shared so freely. As tributes pour in from fellow artists, politicians, and fans who grew up on his performances, it's clear Harald wasn't just a performer. He was the heartbeat of Austrian theater, the kind of artist who made you believe in the magic of a well-timed melody or a mischievous wink from the stage. Harald's life was a melody all its own, starting on December 24, 1931 in Kaunas, Lithuania, to an Italian father whose fiery temperament would become a family legend, and a Salzburg-born mother who grounded him with her warmth. The world was unraveling even then. His parents fled the Soviet occupation in 1939, first to East Prussia, then in a harrowing 1944 trek to Bamberg, Germany, where they started over with a modest textile shop. Young Harald was meant for medicine at his parents' insistence, but after a few semesters, he couldn't ignore the pull of the stage. "It was my way of protesting," he once quipped in an interview, that dry wit sparkling through. He traded textbooks for vocal training at the Berlin University of the Arts and Nuremberg Conservatory, emerging as a baritone with a voice that could wrap around an aria like a warm embrace. His breakthrough came in the 1960s when director Otto Schenk spotted him and cast him as Eisenstein in Johann Strauss's Die Fledermaus, a role that became his signature, performed in grand houses from Vienna's State Opera to Tokyo and New York. Imagine him there, under those lights, his baritone booming with playful seduction, turning a simple operetta into a night you'd replay in your dreams. It wasn't just talent, it was charisma, the sort that made audiences lean in, forgetting the world outside. What truly set Harald apart, though, was his gift for blending worlds: singer, actor, director, even a twinkling judge on Dancing Stars, where he earned his affectionate nickname, Mr. Wunderbar, for his gentle critiques laced with charm. After a vocal cord surgery in the 1980s forced a pause, he reinvented himself, stepping into speaking roles and eventually taking the helm of the Spiel Mörbisch in 1992. For 20 years, he transformed that lakeside amphitheater in Bugenland into the beating heart of operetta, staging classics like Lehar's The Merry Widow with innovative flair that drew tens of thousands each summer. He'd bow out in 2012 with, you guessed it, Die Fledermaus, a full-circle moment that felt like a love letter to his career. Even in his 80s, he popped up in films, theater revivals, and his own touring show, Serafin on Tour, proving that age was just a suggestion for someone whose energy rivaled the stars he once shared stages with. And through it all, that bon vivant spirit shone. He'd regale interviewers with tales of his Italian roots fueling his passion, or how fleeing across Europe as a child taught him to find joy in the chaos. Family was the quiet harmony beneath Harald's grand overtures. Married for 45 blissful years to Ingeborg, whom he affectionately called Mousie. They were that couple you envied, the ones still holding hands at galas, whispering inside jokes decades in. Together, they raised 2 children, Daniel and Martina, both carving their own paths in the arts, carrying forward that Serafin spark. Daniel, a successful director and producer, shared this morning how his father fought like a lion through his illnesses, right up to those final hours around 6 a.m., surrounded by loved ones in their Vienna home. He was a fighter, but always with such joy, Daniel said, his voice cracking with pride. Harald Doted on his grandkids too, slipping them stories of backstage mishaps or impromptu duets, reminding them that life, like a good operetta, is best lived with a flourish. Offstage, he was the guy hosting lively dinner parties, savoring a fine wine or escaping to their Burgenland retreat, simple pleasures that kept him grounded amid the applause. Financially, Harald lived with the elegance of someone who valued experiences over excess. As a top operetta star and festival director, his net worth likely settled comfortably in the mid-seven figures by the end, built from salaries, royalties from recordings, and those Mörbisch seasons that packed 60,000 seats a year. But he wasn't one for ostentation, honors like the Golden Cross of Merit for services to the Republic of Austria in 2001, Vienna's Golden Medal in 2007, and last year's Austrian Music Theater prize for his lifetime achievement spoke louder than any bank balance. He poured his success back into the arts, mentoring young singers, funding productions, and even passing the Mörbisch directorship to his son like a cherished heirloom. It was wealth, measured in legacies, not luxuries. There are so many little anecdotes that capture Harald's essence, the ones that make you smile through the tears. Like the time a young fan interrupted his interview in a Vienna cafe, shyly asking for a photo. He beamed, pulled her into a hug, and belted out a snippet of the Blue Danube on the spot, turning strangers into friends. Or how, despite his health battles, he'd sneak back to Mörbisch in 2019 for a cameo as the Oberunach. In the land of smiles, his voice a touch frilier but his timing impeccable, earning a standing ovation that lasted minutes. He was the artist who taught us that culture isn't stuffy halls and stiff collars. It's alive, it's fun, it's a celebration of being human. Leaders across Austria echoed that today. Vienna's mayor called him a shaper of the city's theater soul, while the culture minister dubbed him an entertainer de Lebens, a life entertainer who embodied joy with unmatched style. As we bid farewell to Harald Serafin, it's his own words that linger. He hoped to be remembered not as a star, but as someone who spread a bit of Wunderbar into the world. And oh, he did, through every note, every laugh, every quiet moment with those he loved. To Ingeborg, Daniel, Martina, and the grandkids, our hearts ache with yours. May his songs echo in your home forever. The stages he graced will feel emptier, but brighter for having known him. If Harald's story of resilience and revelry has warmed your heart or sparked a memory of your own favorite tune, please give this video a like and subscribe for more tales of lives that sang with purpose. It helps keep the music playing. Thanks for joining me. Until next time, find a little Wunderbar in your day.